All right, so we are officially live, and we're officially live on the first day of Q4. So this is game time, folks. So we're going to be talking about PPC and how you can improve your campaigns, how you can grow your sales, and all that fun stuff. So my name is Kevin Sanderson from My Amazon Guy, and I've been a seller now for almost 9 years. So whatever I'm going to share with you today is speaking from my own experience. I've actually spent more money on Amazon PPC than I've spent on my house. In fact, I could more than pay off my house with what I've spent on Amazon PPC. So I'm here today to help answer your questions on how you can improve your ad campaigns, because I'm living it right there with you in the trenches. So in addition to being the marketing and partnership guy at My Amazon Guy, I am also a Amazon seller myself. So put in the chat an emoji to describe how you are feeling about this Q4 season. Is it optimistic? Is it sad? Is it hopeful? Is it excited? Is it show me the money? Whatever it is, creativity counts. And I do from time to time reward participation. So I will reward participation in this particular live stream. So just keep that in mind. And I have a few tricks up my sleeve. When I say tricks up my sleeve, I mean things I can give away for free that would be of value to you. Hello, Serge. How often do you optimize keyword bids, negate bids, and do keywords harvesting? So good question. And one thing, if you've been in this business for a while, you know that half the time answers start with this phrase, it depends. And I'm going to start with this phrase, it depends. A lot of it has to do with data sufficiency. So if you are selling, let's say something super high value or super high volume, kitchen knife, I'm just assuming kitchen knife is high volume. Kitchen knife versus stainless steel kitchen knife for chefs or something like that are going to have two completely different number of people searching for it, number of clicks, number of, if you're going after broad terms, more search terms that are, playing off of that initial search term. So you're going to have a lot more data to work with. So point being, if you have a keyword that has a lot of movement and a lot of people, when I say a lot of movement, a lot of data, a lot of people hopefully buying, a lot of people clicking, you're getting a lot of impressions, you're going to want to check on that more often. I would say initially, once a week is usually pretty good. Although if you're starting a campaign, sometimes you want to go a little bit more often just because you're anxious, which I've been there many times before. Oh, it's a new product. I want to see, can I push it? I can just tell you this, too many times a day is more just going to be a distraction for you. So I would say start with once a week. If you have something super high volume and you're spending a lot of money, maybe you want to go to daily. But most of the time, going beyond once a week for most products, especially if it's a relatively new product, isn't going to be worth your while, other than just to scratch that itch of curiosity of how it's doing. So I would say a week is usually pretty good because you have pretty good data sufficiency. Because really what it comes down to is, if you're looking at a keyword and it's had 8 clicks, there's not really a lot of decisions to make. But if it's had 100 clicks and 10 purchases, that means you got a 10% conversion rate, then you have good data sufficiency to make good decisions on, do you up the bid, lower the bid, whatever the case is. So I would say there's a lot of it depends there. All right. So just as a reminder, drop your PPC questions into the comments. And I'm going to get to some more questions. All right. So Serge says, what time range you usually set when optimizing campaigns manually in Seller Central? So I think that's kind of along the same lines of what Serge just said of how often do you optimize. So what time range do you use for optimizing campaigns manually in Seller Central? Let's just go with the same thing. It depends, but I would say when in doubt, a week is usually pretty good. You can go more often than that. But especially if it's an established campaign, there's no use going too much into it more than that. And sometimes in the beginning, it's more just to satisfy your own curiosity, but don't start like freaking out like, oh my God, it's 11 a.m. and I've had no sales on this product just yet. I got to change everything. Don't do that, because oftentimes the reporting is just delayed. I've had, where it's like, you might even see it sometimes in like Facebook groups. People are like, oh my God, it's so slow today. And then like everyone's like sales come in at like, 8 o'clock at night. All of a sudden, everyone is a surge of sales. It's just, I don't know, maybe they're doing data maintenance and the servers were slow that day, and it just happened. So don't get too caught up in optimizing too often, because sometimes it can hurt you. But then again, you don't want to go so long as to say like, I'll check it every 6 months. You're starting to run out of, you don't have a lot of reports that even go back that far. And it's too late to react to something. So I would say a week is usually pretty good, but you can go more often if you have something that you have a lot of data sufficiency. All right. Muhammad asks, keyword having IS of 0.1 and IR of 15 with search volume of 1,000 Jungle Scouts. Is it worth running sponsored search campaign? IS and IR. I kind of have an idea, but I'm not 100% familiar. Please provide a little context. Is that a Jungle Scout terminology? You're already ranking position 17 organically. All right. So I'm just going to say this, regardless of IS and IR, which I could just be going through a brain freeze or something. I would say if you're in position 17, you're kind of in the strike zone, as Stephen would call it. Basically, you're organically ranked high. Why not go after higher ranking? So if you're ranked 17 organically for a keyword, PPC could help you get higher than that, because Amazon just wants to see sales. Show Amazon sales, and you could end up being ranked higher. 17, I'm assuming, is pretty good for this particular keyword organically, because if you're talking about the number of organic positions, that's fairly low down on the page. But even if you're including the sponsored positions, like, let's say the top row of 4 is all sponsored, and there's usually 1 or 2 other rows of sponsored ads by the time you get to 17 organically, or even 17th, it's probably worth going after keywords. I mean, or going after paid traffic with this. So I would definitely do it. I don't see any reason why not. All right. Fayaz Khan asks, what's things we optimize in PPC campaigns for Prime Day deals before October 8th and 9th? Yes. So this is going to be a little bit of a controversial topic. So my personal opinion is I'm not a huge fan of Prime Day. I know some people are, but my personal opinion is Prime Day, oftentimes, if you're doing a lot of deals and you have a product that lends itself well to deals and you can kind of spike the algorithm, so to speak, it could be worth it. I tend to find Prime Day as like an average to above average day, except the days before and the days after are slower, because beforehand, everybody's waiting to see what the deals are. So it's like, well, if I need something, why am I going to order it on October 6th when Prime Day is in 2 days? So it kind of slows things down for people that aren't urgent to buy something. And then everyone's just kind of looking for deals the day of. So you can get a lot of window shoppers. So what I would suggest doing is take a look at your data for Prime Day in July and see like did you have a spike in ACoS the days leading up to it? And if you did, I would lower your bids the days leading up to Prime Day, maybe increase them on Prime Day, and then look and see, did you have kind of a slow couple days trailing off afterwards? Because sometimes people come back and like, oh, is Prime Day still on? Oh, I didn't miss the deals. I don't really want it that bad. Da, 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 da. So just take a look and see the days leading up to Prime Day, the days of Prime Day, and the days with Prime Day. How did you do? And just look and see, like, what does that look like? And that'll give you a clue as to how to react to Prime Day now. And I think summer Prime Day is usually a bigger deal than October Prime Day, only just because October Prime Day is right before the holidays. So some people are kind of already starting to get in the mindset of like, okay, maybe I'm just looking for holiday deals ahead of time, maybe do a little extra Christmas shopping beforehand. or get ahead on Christmas shopping. But I would say you don't necessarily have to worry too much about Prime Day in October. It's not as big of much of an opportunity. Some years it's been an absolute dud. I think last year it ended up actually being fairly decent for me. But I would definitely, again, take a look at Prime Day in July, which is usually a stronger Prime Day than October Prime Day, and just see how it affected days leading up, days of, days after. And then you can make some decisions on how you want to update your campaigns. And what you could always do is create a bulk file where you're adjusting your campaigns beforehand, and then you're adjusting them for during Prime Day, adjusting them for after Prime Day. And then maybe you want to go to just where you had been come October 13th or something like that. And you could have that ready to go. So you could start preparing. So that way it's just a matter of, uploading it day of, which I don't know if there's a way without software to schedule bid changes, but just something to keep in mind. All right. So with that, don't forget to ask your questions. Questions are coming in, but the thing to keep in mind is right now I can pretty much assure you I will get to your questions, but I cannot promise to get to your questions towards the end of the session, because what ends up happening is people ask questions and then all of a sudden there's this kind of like time is running out. So everyone starts putting in all of their questions towards the end. Then all of a sudden, they're asking follow-up questions. It's kind of like a little bit of momentum and we run out of time. So now's the time where if you ask your question, there's a much, much, much higher likelihood, I would say, I don't want to say guaranteed, but pretty darn close to it, that we will get to your question. So Serge asks, how do you remember when was the last time you optimized the bids on a certain account to avoid optimizing it again too soon, eventually lowering or increasing the bid too much? Good question. One thing you could do is you could just keep a spreadsheet as a log. What I do in my own campaigns is I use bulk files. I'm a huge fan of bulk files. Here at my Amazon guy, we use bulk files a lot for clients. The nice thing is bulk files tells you the last time you downloaded a bulk file and the last time you uploaded the bulk file. So you can see that kind of gives you a log. So, okay, the last time I uploaded it was 10 days ago and I uploaded it again. Now, the thing with that is those dates eventually start to drop off. They don't stay there forever. I'm not sure how long they stay, but they will drop off. So if you're doing this for clients, I would suggest you keep a log of some sort, whether that's just a Google Sheet where, maybe you have like a tab for each client. And then, you put on there, like basically the day you optimized campaigns, maybe what marketplace was it, US, Canada, UK, whatever, and just a quick description of what you did. Like, I think it can be kind of overwhelming to like try to record, like, we raised this bid by 7 and this we lowered by, 15 cents or whatever the case is. I would suggest just, we did bid adjustments. We added new campaigns. In this one, we created, new exact match keywords and we did not negate them. So just things like that, I would put in there. And then you can always save the bulk file in a like a shared drive. And then that could also be like another way to keep on top of it too. So in my own business, I have a folder for each marketplace that I do my campaign. So like, for example, the US has a folder, Canada has a folder, and then the naming convention is like the year dot month dot day. So like today would be 2024.10.01 dash US dash, and then I would put like bid adjustments, or if I promoted keywords, I put, keyword promotions or whatever it was I did, just general high level. And then that way I also have another way to look and see like, okay, when did I do the certain tasks? Because I have it all saved in a folder there. So it's 3 ways that you could do it. You keep a log in a Google Sheets, or if you use a tool like Asana or ClickUp, you could use those as another way to do it, which I didn't mention before. So let's say that's 2. The history in the bulk file sheet, or the bulk template sheet, or the bulk template page of when you pulled and uploaded the sheets. But then also you would have, if you save those in a special folder with a good naming convention, that would give you more clues on it. So that way you can always just refer back to any of the above and very quickly know when was the last time you uploaded, for a client or whatever the case is. All right. So Fahad says, I'm already working on Amazon wholesale model. That is great. Glad to hear that. Wholesale, oftentimes people think, in wholesale, people don't do PPC, but I know some of the best wholesale sellers do. Now there's oftentimes not as much margin in it. So it's usually if you are the buy box, you are getting the, or if you're the one advertising, that offer is going to your offer because it's based on the SKU, not the ASIN. So, total side note, you didn't ask a question, but I think learning PPC is good for you if you are a wholesale seller or you're a wholesale seller looking to become a private label seller. All right. So Jacob R asked, I tested Amazon stream optimization and do not see any improvement. What's your experience with stream data optimization? I've not used it personally, so I don't really have a good take on it. I would suggest coming to our Friday AMA with our brand directors, Noah Wickham, and sometimes we bring in guests. They're more in the weeds with clients, and they might have a little bit more experience with the stream data optimization, but I don't personally. But good question. Marnie asks, how to optimize a product targeting campaign that's generating lots of sales. ACoS is a bit high. Well, just like you would use let's just say this. It's all just algebra is all it is. So what I would do is I would download a bulk template, and then you could do product targeting as instead of, keywords. So just pull up your bulk template, download it, and then it's usually column B where it's like, campaign, ad group, keyword, product targeting, yada, yada, yada. So you want to do product targeting. You'd filter for that. Then I usually would do something like where I would take your, let's say, I'm visualizing this as I talk. So basically what I would do is I would I would sort by highest ACoS first. So you're at least looking for it there. So I would look at highest ACoS, the ones you're spending the most on. So this is going to give you the exact ASINs that you're targeting. And then I would also look at ones that have a high number of, which you can also just use filters in Excel to do this, but ones that have a high number of clicks, but very few sales or zero sales. And I would probably just, turn those off. Like if you've got just know that those tend to have lower click-through rates and usually don't have quite as good of conversions in my experience. But I would say, look at those and start just doing the same kind of math that you would do for keywords. So what I usually do is I would take a column in that bulk template and I would put into it, basically, if you put equals and then whatever the column is for sales dollars. So take that sales divided by, let's say, clicks. So sales divided by clicks, whatever that one is, and then multiply times whatever your desired ACoS is. So if your desired ACoS is 40%, 30%, 35%, 25%, whatever it is, times 0.25 times 0.40, whatever. In this particular column, that's going to tell you what is the most you can spend on that particular product targeting based on, let's say, the last 20 clicks that it's got, whatever the time frame is giving you data for. And then that would say that is the most you could bid, assuming the next sales or the next, 20, 30 clicks or whatever, give you the same amount. This is a good kind of steering the ship. It's not perfect. Don't go just taking that as your gospel, because sometimes you could end up with like one that's doing really well, and the math works out to like $30 a click, and you're like, oh no, I don't want to do that. So that'll at least tell you, do you need to lower or increase your bid? And then you can make the judgment call as to whether or not you want to lower it by a certain amount or do more. All right. So hopefully that tells you a little bit more of what you could do. But basically, just look at it as it's data, because at the end of the day, sometimes we get very emotional over, and when I say emotional, I truly mean emotional, of like, this is a good keyword, I have to just keep spending money on the excuse me. I have to just keep spending money on this keyword. But don't just keep spending money on the keyword just because you feel like it's a good keyword. The only way to know if it's a good keyword is if customers are voting with their wallets and adding it to cart and purchasing it. And if they're not, then it's not a good keyword for you. And so it's the same thing with product targeting. It's not as easy to tell, because you'd have to look up that ASIN number or whatever. And a lot of times you're doing product targeting, you can also see categories too. But a lot of times it's hard to know exactly what it is. So you could actually be more kind of just cold and like, okay, the math works out good for this one, it doesn't work out good for that one. And very quickly. And so actually sometimes it can be easier because your emotions are not getting in the way of like, yeah, but like marker, I should just keep going after marker. But people are looking up, red Sharpie marker for flip charts. That's what this would work for, not just marker in general. But sometimes we get caught up and I want to go for marker based on this particular product I'm holding up. All right. Next up, we have beer stick. I have a product that cannot be advertised due to being a drinking product. Can this be appealed? Is there a way to unlock my ASIN to advertise? Oh, that's a good question. I have products that are drinking related. So let's just say this. It can be possible, depending on what the product is. But I would say if, let me pull up Amazon real quick. This would be probably a good one to talk about. Say wine glasses. All right. So, oops. Pushing the wrong button there. Let me show my screen. All right. So, like, for example, I'm not sure exactly what it is you're selling, but, if you look and see, like, sometimes some products that let you get away with it, like wine glass, it's kind of obvious you need to have some alcohol into it. But notice how, like, for the most part, they're not being poured into it. And then if, let's say we click on this real quick. Oh, that was a sponsor one. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Okay, this one does have a little bit of pouring into it as a secondary image. Sometimes products that have alcohol in the pictures are more likely to get flagged. We do see that here at my Amazon guy from time to time. And Steven's actually talked about that for his own wine glasses that he used to sell. But also keep in mind, like, these are also plain wine glasses, and they don't say like, hey, buy wine stuff, or, drink lots of wine. I feel fine when I drink wine, or something like that. So just keep in mind, like, if your product is getting flagged, you can always, look up similar products. So if, let's say you're selling rocks glasses, I don't know why I keep using glasses as a example. Clearly there's some sort of brown liquor in there. We know that's not sugar water, and that's not just like a Shirley Temple. So, people do have it. So look and see, like, are people advertising? So sponsored. Looks like these are all organic. Trending now, which is sponsored. We just don't make it obvious. But yes, that is sponsored. So you can sell products that are related to alcohol. If it has alcohol itself in it, you can't. Amazon, they let a lot of vices get away, but they're not big on alcohol. So hopefully that helps you. All right. Next up, Marnie asks, how do I see the conversion rate of a competition? I think the best thing to do is if you go into your search query performance report, you can look and see, how does your product versus the competition. That's the best way to take a look at it. I don't know of a way. Maybe you can do it where you're looking by the competitors. I'd have to dive into it. I don't have an account handy to pull that up with. Anyway, you can kind of play around with it a little bit. Sometimes there's third-party tools that kind of guess the data, but search query performance report is at least going to give you like what others are getting as far as like, your share of, let's say, add to carts and purchases versus the competitions. So, that basically tells you your conversion rate compared to the others. But you probably want to know a little deeper on that. We may have to play around with that at a future one. All right. Jacob R asks, what can be a negative effect of optimizing bids frequently, for example, hourly with a tool? Well, you got to think of this way. This is a good question. How do you know if your changes are having an effect? Because let's just say, hypothetically speaking, you're like my wife, and your purchasing behavior is you just say, oh, I want this, add to cart, add to cart, add to cart, add to cart. And then you decide, do I actually want this or not? And you come back later. So my wife oftentimes will add things to cart, go back later, read the reviews, actually read. She's not a skimmer like me. She'll actually catch when like there's weird things in reviews. So you won't get all the attribution. And sometimes the data is not caught up. And so you could do it frequently throughout the day, but you could be looking at old data, or you might not even have all the data because maybe the server hasn't caught up with, you have purchases and clicks. And so oftentimes, generally, most people in the PPC world will say, when you do optimize, you want to at least look back a day or two as the most recent. Like you wouldn't want to necessarily look back in that day. And with the way Amazon's attribution window works, you can get credit up to 7 days later. So with their reporting tools. So you could be getting sales today for clicks that happened a few days ago. And if you made a decision based on clicks or based on data that was like in the day a few days ago, you would have missed out on the fact that you did have some sales. Now, most sales are made pretty quickly as far as proximity to when someone clicks. They click and then they purchase relatively soon. But there are exceptions to that. And so you never know. So it's kind of like a long tail. Most of the sales are made right away and then kind of a long tail after that. I would suggest, giving it data sufficiency. And then also too, like if you're looking at it like hourly, you're in order to have enough data, you're going to have to look back more than just in the last hour. Unless you have a super, super, super high volume product, then maybe it's worth thinking about, but I wouldn't do it hourly. Just because you're going to end up making some of the wrong decisions. You're going to be potentially making the right decision based on the data you have, but it's not the right data, if that makes sense. All right. Serge asks, did I understand correctly that we need to choose a time range so that we can cover only the days with a new bid, so we do not mix up the data of new bid with the data of previous bid? You don't have to. We didn't talk about that. And I kind of alluded to that a little bit in the last question. And I'm going to go a little different direction on this. I like to do both, to be honest. So let's say I'm doing weekly. Once a week, let's say on Saturday, I optimize my campaigns. I do it again the following Saturday. So I'm doing usually Sunday through usually about that Friday. And then basically, whenever the new bids took effect, then I'm taking a look at it. I will periodically, because bulk uploads will let you go about 60 days out. So if you're doing the bulk template files, you can go about 60 days out. And with that gives you more data. Now, the tricky part is, like, you could be looking at it and like you're trying to make a decision on like changing a bid. Your current bid is 75 cents and the average cost per click was $1.25, but you have down only bids and you're like, wait, what is this all about? The challenge there is you had made a change previously, and so some of the data is mixed up with before you made the change. But I still think it's good to do because it'll help you clean up some of your campaigns, in that it gives you the opportunity to look and see like, okay, maybe you were getting, certain keywords got maybe one click every 2 days and it wasn't worth really making a decision off of. But after 60 days, if it's one click every 2 days, that's 30 clicks. That generally is a good enough time period, or, data sufficiency to decide, do I keep this keyword? Do I, do I axe it? Because otherwise, if you're just doing it based on weekly, you might have missed that this keyword was either an opportunity or a problem because it was only getting 3-4 clicks a week. And so you were just, it fell off your radar. So that's one of the reasons to do that. And little side note trick is, unfortunately, in a lot of pages, you can't go back more than 60 or 90 days, depending on which report and which page you're looking at. But there is year-to-date data in a lot of things. And so one of the things I like to do this time of year, because we now have 10 months of data. So this is something I think everyone should do like right away. So if you've not done this, if you've never done this trick, do this immediately. This is going to save you a ton of money, and you're going to find a bunch of keywords that you've been bleeding on all year and wish you had done this sooner. Go into Seller Central, go into the ads manager, go to the targeting tab. So if you click on targeting, then change the date range to year to date, then sort by spend, and then filter by orders equals 0. This is going to show you all the keywords that you have been spending all this money on over the course of the year that got no sales. And it's probably because, even if you were doing it, weekly or whatever, and maybe it was getting one click a week and it just wasn't worth doing. So now we're basically 3/4 of the way through the year. So 13 times 3. So we're 39-ish weeks into the year. So that could be, if it's getting one click a week with no sales, that's 39 clicks throughout the course of a year that you might have been, just in this hypothetical example, getting clicks on, but no sales. So this is something you can just easily start pruning. And then you could also do this, if you've never done this, for lifetime. And sometimes you'll find even others. Like if you've been doing this for a couple of years, you never do this, or you've never done this before, this can save you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a year in like these little onesie, twosie clicks that you just have ignored over time, or just, it never showed up on your radar. So again, go to the targeting tab, change the date range to year to date. And, you can start playing with the filters too, of like high ACoS. And maybe you realize like, oh, okay, I raised the bid at one point because I saw like, oh, it only got like 4 clicks and it's got a sale. So it must be doing good. But maybe that was the only sale that particular keyword got all year. And so this is another way to do this. And the year to date, there's a little bit of you got to do this before the end of the year. And now is a perfect time to do that, because you can start pruning away these bad keywords before we get to the holiday season. So little tip, I know it's kind of going in a little different direction than what we talked about here, but hopefully that's helpful. So, all right. If you have questions, drop them into the chat. And we'll go from there. So Jacob asked, do you recommend boosting deals like lightning deals or top deals with extra PPC actions? If yes, how? I have not had success with lightning deals in years. I've not even heard anyone saying they had a good experience with a lightning deal. I've done lightning deals and had 0 sales. Lightning deals were super effective in like 2016, a little bit in 2017, but I can tell you the last few years, I haven't even done them because they've not done well. I've not heard a lot of people talk about them. So I don't know that they're doing well. I think Amazon still will have them, but like I don't even know, I don't know that I've seen a lightning deal as a customer. So I don't even know how customers even find out about them. And then like, you know, if you think about it, there's so many levers you can pull as a seller, but then there's also so many more, you know, doors and avenues that Amazon wants you to go down as a buyer. So as a buyer, you know, they want you to click over here. Here's these featured products. Here's here's a live stream. Here's this. Here's that. All these things that weren't around necessarily in the past. So I think lightning deals have gotten so far down the totem pole. So I don't do them personally, but I think that's a very good question. And I've not heard people talk about, you know, getting good traction from running a lightning deal. Maybe the customer gets a good deal. So Marnie says it's hard to target keywords like gifts, perfect gift, etc. for upcoming holiday. Yes and no. You have to be very, very specific. Gifts for men is oftentimes awful. So like, for example, let's just pull this one back up. So let's say you looked up gifts for men. Well, that's for me. No, not gifts for me. Gifts for men. Oh, completely different products. Oh, of course, Amazon Kindle is the top one. That's just moving money from the left pocket, or Amazon Fire, I should say. So yeah, so Dr. Squatch is up there, shower kit. So yeah, if you look, these are all very disparate type of products. How does yours compare to the others on there? There's a lot of I fix stuff things, cell phone, Bluetooth, wireless stands. Like, I don't know. Somebody might be hacking some of this. Not hacking, but like, who knows? I would say unless your product does really well for, like, let's say gifts for men or whatever gifts for keyword, I wouldn't go after perfect gift. It's too broad. Gifts for men can oftentimes be really broad. But, you know, is yours more going to be a keyword that lends itself to a very specific niche? You know, maybe it's gifts for moms. Let's just go down this rabbit trail. Moms to be. Okay, that's a little bit more specific. Gifts for moms who want nothing or who have everything. Okay. That might give you at least a little bit more traction, because gifts for mom is going to have a ton of people trying to go after it. But some of these like longer tail keywords, gifts for mom who want nothing. And I bet if I hit space, or, oh no, there's no more. Sometimes you can find, you know, super long tail keyword in these giftable ones. You know, gifts for mom with a son, you know, if your product applies to it. So just double check the keyword, if especially something broad like gifts, and just make sure that, like, how does your product compare to the others? Is it the same mindset of someone who looks for it? And another thing to keep in mind too is if you're looking for gifts for mom or gifts for mom and what nothing, or perfect gifts, you're looking for ideas. So if you think about your very top of funnel, so you're not likely to be purchasing right off of that click. So in a lot of cases, it's not a smart keyword to go after unless you have good keyword data from the past. Jacob R says, how do you classify ad waste and what's the waste you tolerate? Good question. So a lot of it depends. But one thing you could do is, if you think about it, let's say your product either has a, let's say 12% conversion rate, or you're hoping to get a 12% conversion rate. So what that means is basically every time someone clicks, or sorry, you need 8 clicks in order to get a sale to have a 12% conversion rate. So if you take, you know, 100% divided by 12%, it's basically 8 clicks. That's really not the smoothest math there, but it works. So basically, or 1 divided by 1.2 might be the better way to phrase it. But anyway, that's eight clicks. So roughly 8 clicks to get a sale. So if you say, oh, okay, I got 9 clicks and no sales for a keyword, I don't know that I would say that's waste, because sometimes it's really more just on average. So maybe you get, out of the next 4 clicks, 2 people buy. So then that's actually, let's say 9. I said my example 9 plus 13. So 13 clicks got you 2 sales. So it's actually better than the 12% conversion rate you were looking for. So I would suggest in that case, give it at least double to not triple the number of clicks you would need for your desired conversion rate. Then start taking a look at, like, if this is a super high volume keyword, one that's really important to you, um, how do you stack up to the competition? Do a search for that keyword and take a look. Am I competing? Does everything else have, you know, thousands of reviews and I have 3, or I have no reviews? So maybe this is one to file for later. You need to kind of level up to this particular keyword, but you can go after some good long tail keywords that'll help you out in the short term. So anyway, so when it comes to waste, there's a lot of it depends, but I would say more than anything is, does this have promise? And does the data speak to you that there's promise here? Now, if something has a 70% ACoS, well, you could just lower your bid. So you could use that math I gave before of sales divided by clicks. That's sales per click. So for every time someone clicks, what is the average sales volume per click on average over time? And then multiply that times your desired ACoS. And then that would give you the most you could theoretically bid on. You don't have to use that exactly, but that would give you something to go after if you have high ACoS products. Now you might say, well, I won't get as many sales because I'll be, showing up lower on the page, and that's fine, because you don't necessarily just want to bleed keywords forever. Now maybe you're in a launch phase and you're like, I'm okay with not being as profitable because I just want to get some initial growth, some initial traction. I want the algorithm to start to notice me a little bit more. And that's a good strategy. Now, if you've been selling a product for 2 years, you're not in launch phase anymore, and you really have to start clipping through some of the wasted ad spend. Serge had said, "Thank you very much, Kevin. It was very insightful, very good. Glad we could help you out here." And then Mohammed asks, "Hello, sir. I had ordered iPad Pro in March, but it was damaged. The Amazon team is arranging pickup, but no one is coming to pick up my product. Pickup is getting failed again. Not sure how to help you with this. How can I file A to Z claim? Amazon agent also filed an investigation regarding this issue. The delivery hub is giving Amazon the wrong info, and I'm not answering the calls. Honestly, I don't know how to help you. This sounds like a customer service issue. I would call them. I haven't called them in a long time. It used to be much easier to call Amazon, but I think you can still go through the app and get calls. I mean, I would do this, and we do this as sellers quite a bit. Excuse me. Document. Save screenshots. Hey, here's who I contacted. This is what they told me. You might be better off. Calling is good. Chat might actually be better here. Sometimes you don't always feel empathy, and sometimes the chat conversation could take longer because they're usually doing multiple chats at a time, so they don't respond as quickly as if you're on the phone with someone, because then they're just on the phone with you. But you could potentially do a chat conversation, save the screenshots. I think I've not done a chat. I'm almost positive you can download the transcript, so that way you have it all documented. So don't fully understand the situation, but hopefully that helps you. All right. Serge asks, how do you usually calculate tacos? Do you have a tip on how to accelerate the process if you need to for many ASINs? So, well, what you could do is you could basically use the bulk file. If you know how to do pivot tables, you could do a pivot table. You could filter for the ad, and then the ad would be the ASIN that the SKU you're going after. So then you'd have it, add up all of your spend for a SKU, all your sales for the SKU, and do a calculated field on that. And then you could then manually put in the data of, what were your total sales during the same time frame. You got to make sure it's during the same time frame. And then that would at least give you, at least on the ASIN level, it's not perfect, but it would give you, let's say 95% of the way there, what your tacos would be at an ASIN level. That's one way you could do it without software tools. There's software tools that can help you with that as well. All right. So Marnie says, I'm so guilty on that being emotional. Keep pushing a couple of keywords similar to your marker example. What I did is still target those keywords, but the bids are super low. Got a couple sales with low ACoS. Yes, totally agree with you there. And I love that. And yes, we do get emotional about these keywords. It's like we're attached to them. It's like our babies, even though it's just random people on the internet searching for something. But we get so attached to, but this is gonna be my ticket to the easy street. But it's not always. So that's a very good question. And so I like that. And I said I would reward participation from time to time. So Marnie, if you're still watching, email Kevin@myamazonguy.com. I will give you access to the My Amazon Guy PPC course, absolutely free. And that is a $100 value. So just email Kevin@myamazonguy.com. Kevin, Kevin @myamazonguy.com. And if I don't respond within 24 hours, hit the reply button, and don't say that you won. That seems to trigger the filters. Just say, hey, you said to email you from the live stream today. I'm sure I'll remember, because everyone will give away the same thing too. So yes, but thank you for sharing that. You do find those to be somewhat of an emotional decision, which it is for all of us. And that you have decided to go after some of these keywords, but at a lower bid, which means you don't get as many clicks. But if you pick up a few sales from some of these keywords over time, who cares if it's, doesn't bring you high volume, but at least you're getting some sales and your bids are low enough that maybe, it takes 15, 20 clicks to get a sale, but the math works out to be profitable enough. And I don't think Amazon's penalizing people for that. My personal opinion. All right. So next up, Andy asks, what if I can't do that if I have a discount code to my product? Again, not asking for reviews. I really appreciate the other $1.99, Andy. However, I think I'm missing something. Maybe I should go to this in, I'm going to go see if I can find it in YouTube, what your question is. Because I feel like maybe your question is not coming across into StreamYard. And I feel bad because I feel like you have a good question here that you're trying to ask. And you're even willing to give us a £1.99. But we're, for whatever reason, not getting it. So let me go to our live stream. All right, so I'm getting distracted as I'm looking at myself in the other window. All right, so on that note, I'll come back to that. So while I'm doing that, Yogesh says, how can I launch a product though PPC? Any suggestion what kind of campaign I should run? Start with sponsored products. That's the easiest way to go. It's your bread and butter. Most of your sales are going to come from sponsored products. If you're not sure how to do like sponsored brands or sponsored display, which takes a little bit more copywriting, potentially even a little bit of design work, depending on which kind you're using, I would say I would go after sponsored products to start off with, especially if you're new to it. And I don't see a question from Andy when I look directly on the YouTube stream, and I don't want to distract myself in that other screen. So anyway, all right, now to the next one. All in. Ike, sir, do you live stream on reimbursements? We can do a live stream on reimbursement, but since you mentioned that, if you go to myrefundguy.com, which I will share here in just a moment, there are some, I'm having some internet issues today, so hopefully I'm coming through okay. But there are, let me say, with myrefundguy.com, I'll come back to that. Basically, in about 3 weeks, Amazon completely changes the rules. So if you don't have anyone working on your refunds, oh, there we go. You can sign up. You can get a free audit where someone will find out how much Amazon owes you. I was just talking to our team yesterday about my refund guy and some of the changes coming up, which I don't think we have them listed on this particular page. We do have another page. I will get that out in an email if you're on the My Amazon Guy email list. I'll get that out in the next couple of days. Basically, changes coming on the 23rd of October, I think is the exact date. And the team I was talking to said, you don't want to wait until the 22nd because, they have to, put in support cases to Amazon and they have to, have Amazon approve some things. So if you sign up between now and the 10th, you can get basically an 18-month look back period. So what that means is if you're not familiar, Amazon will reimburse you for lost and damaged and a few other things, but lost and damaged is the bulk of it. And they'll go back 18 months. So if they lost something, they'll go back 18 months. That look back period changes to like 30 or 60 days. Don't quote me the exact amount, but like that window shrinks after October 23rd. And the refund, it's not that they say, okay, what was the cost of your product and we'll reimburse you for the cost of your product. They reimburse you as if you sold it without PPC. So it's basically the cost of product or the selling price, I should say, whatever your advertised selling price is, minus, the commission and the FBA fee to get it to the customer. That's what they reimburse you. And so there are a little bit of back and forth with that. And we do have the service over there at myrefundguy.com. And we only charge based on a percentage of how much we get back. So if we don't get you anything back, you don't pay anything. And the nice thing is, if you've never done this before, now's the time to do that. I don't say that's for false urgency, but like time's running out, especially to process this stuff through Amazon, because I'm sure a lot of people are probably waiting to the last minute. But my refund guy you'll get your first 500 recovered for free. So, and you don't have to pay any percentage to that. The first 500 is like on us. So like literally like you're getting $500 from Amazon for free. Now, if you just started and you don't have $500 worth of reimbursements, we'll get you whatever we can. But if you have been doing this for any length of time and you not had a service doing this, and Amazon will give you refunds from time to time, but not as much as having somebody actually go in and do it for you. Now's a great time to do that, especially with their policy changing. And again, I would imagine clock strikes midnight on 23rd or 22nd or whatever it is. Once they're out of time, they're like, okay, it's the new policy, and the new policy just takes effect. Is if I was a betting man, I don't know that for sure. But the thing of it is now there's time because there's going to be a lot of processing things through and seller support cases. And no, this really is, or here's the invoice or whatever it is, prove it. There's still time left, but that window is shrinking every day. And then after that window closes, the amount of time that we can look back is shorter. And even if you already have another company doing it for you, it'd be worth it to see if we can find more. Because maybe we can find stuff that maybe they weren't doing. So definitely worth taking a look at. So good question, all in, Ike. All right. So McCann Callie says, what will you do if keyword is so good, but suggested bid is 10 US dollars? Yikes. I wouldn't bid $10 on anything because you got to think about that. What is it you're selling? Now, if you're selling sofas and, it's $1,600 and, you have let's say, I don't even know what a good conversion rate would be. You'd have to have something with a really high conversion rate, relatively speaking, and a high selling price to make $10 per click work. I would say sometimes the suggestion bid is not for your benefit. It is for bottom line profitability for Amazon. So one of the things is Amazon and the seller, you're not at odds with one another. Your goals and Amazon goals overlap, which is a good thing. That they're not aligned, meaning they have their goals, you have your goals. And so they want you to get results for PPC because at the end of the day, like they don't want to show ads that don't convert because that's wasted inventory on their part. So they do want you to do well, and they want you to do well enough as a advertiser that you keep coming back and spending more. So that is to Amazon's benefit. But sometimes the suggestions, I think, are to their benefit. So just keep that in mind. You could always go with a lower bid and see if you're getting impressions and then just kind of inch it up. Sometimes I go with a relatively low bid and then just say, okay, am I getting impressions? Give it a few days. If I don't, raise it up a little bit, raise it up a little bit. Am I starting to get impressions? Am I starting to get clicks, sales, whatever? So that tells me you're probably in a very competitive niche, either really high priced products like furniture, or maybe something probably more likely to be supplements. So you're going to have to look at it as your lifetime value of a customer. Like how many repeat purchases on average does someone have? Because, for most products on Amazon for selling markers, they're not coming back every month for more markers unless they're an art teacher like my wife. But for the most part, even she doesn't buy markers every month. But, unless you have a reason to, for most products, you're not going back and purchasing it again. But if you're selling supplements or something consumable, even if it's not a supplement, and it's high margin, probably high price, relatively speaking. So you're going to have to just see, does the math work out for you? And if you're selling, I can't think of an example. If you're selling tape measures for, $9.99 or whatever a tape measure is, and it's $10 suggested bid, out of your mind, Amazon. Try it at a low bid. Even if you're not the top of the search, it may not be worth it to be top of the search if that's what it's going to be at $10. All right. So AQSA, I'm not sure how to pronounce that or if that's meant to be pronounced. I'd like to request you to enroll in your course. If possible, could you please offer a free course? I'm a quick learner, eager to grow. I love the enthusiasm, but I only give to surprises to people with a free course. So, but you can still enroll if you go to mag-school.com, mag-school.com. And you can sign up for a course at Mag School. Marnie, score, thank you. Yes, my pleasure. And the other person who just said they wanted a free course, you never know. Stick around. And if you participate, I reward participation. And when it comes to asking, I respect that because at the end of the day, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, as Michael Jordan or Wayne Gretzky. One of the two or both. Somebody said that. I don't know. At least they're credited for saying it. Miher Sabah asks, what do you suggest for a good product conversion rates and 2 or more points you prefer in searching a product? Thanks. Conversion rate is a lot of, it depends. So again, it depends on time of year. I think we're going to see a lot lower conversion rates for a lot of products, especially if they're giftable between now and the holiday season. So now until maybe early December, you're going to see a lot of, oh, what's this? Click around. I think you get a lot of window shoppers on Prime Day clicking around. Oh, what could it be? What's that? Click. No add to cart. Just click. Lots of clicking, not a lot of buying. So that will sometimes skew conversion rates, in my opinion, this time of year. So it's hard to say. And, just look at things like, use tools like Product Opportunity Explorer and Amazon to get some ideas. Use tools like Jungle Scout, things like that, or Helium 10. And, when it comes to searching for a product, one of the things Steven would tell you if he was here is, find something that you're interested in, because you're more likely to put more into it than just random product because you think it's a opportunity. Because oftentimes everyone else thinks that same product is an opportunity because everyone else is searching for the same parameters for, fits in a shoebox, and it's above $25 but less than $40 and whatever, blah 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 blah. They're going for it. Doesn't have batteries, doesn't have whatever, so the complexity is smaller. Well, there's just a lot of other people going after it, and so sometimes you got to get creative and say, like, okay, what is something I would want to buy? What is something I'm passionate about? All right. And then I'm going a little bit over, but I will do my best to get to these as quickly as I can. Muhammad Ayaz asks, if a campaign is getting high impressions but low click-through rates, how can I determine whether the issue is with keyword targeting, ad copy, or listing optimization? All right. So if you're getting high impressions and low click-through rate, it is 100% your main image. Because if you think about it, they don't know what the bullet points say or your secondary images are, or your product description, or if you have A+ content, if they're looking at the search results page. So if they're looking at the search results page, they see, if you think about it, let's go back to search results. So all they see, image, title, reviews, price, prime, and then when it gets delivered. That's it. So people are making a snap decision. So this was a keyword I was looking for, a giftable keyword. Or let's look for something that's a little bit more, everything's going to be more similar. So garlic press. We'll use, as my buddy Scott Volker used to use garlic press a lot. And I think he's the one that started using that. Although he's, shout out to Scott Volker if you're out there listening. He's not as much in the Amazon niche if you're familiar, but okay, I'm having internet issues. All right, never mind. All right, so if you're looking at this, what grabs your eye? Now, this one here, that's a name brand you find in a lot of stores. So they're kind of going off what they are. But, one like this one, or they're kind of going off their name brand. Their name brand is somewhat carrying them. People have heard of OXO. Whereas this one, Or Blue. No offense to Or Blue, never heard of them. But you can see in the packaging, garlic press. Now, whether or not that actually is where the word garlic press is or what the font is, that's what it is. You can very easily see that that's what it says in the packaging. This one here is Zignity, garlic press there. I think garlic press is more important than Zignity or original. So if I was them, I would Photoshop that and move it around. Effective garlic press studs. Okay. These people must be going after a particular keyword, but I don't know that effective garlic press studs is value driven enough of a keyword. I might just say effective garlic press, but a garlic press is your main one. Now, one thing I like about them is they actually have garlic there. So kind of, shows what's going on there. This one here, lifetime warranty. Now, some people might be saying, but can you get away with some of the things like a plate of garlic? So really what I'm getting at here is you want to ask yourself when you look at it, is it very easy for the customer to know what this is about? This one, not so much. Somehow 350 milliliters and extra large is important. There's the only information they wanted to provide that. There's nothing minced up inside there. There's nothing chopped or ground. So I would say this one needs packaging to explain what it is. It needs a little something in there, or even if it's just piles of, whether it's garlic or something else on the side, and then something better than 350 milliliters. If they're going to use a tag like that to explain it, Americans don't even know what 350 milliliters is. And I say that as an American who I kind of have a good idea of what that is, but I'd have to go look for it. And then, they need to work on spelling. But anyway, point being, put yourself in the customer's shoes. Would you rather click on this or would you rather click on this? Now, granted, it's two different products. This one's kind of weird looking. Or Would you click on this or would you click on this? Like this is red and it catches your eye. And so, I would say if I was to guess, even though this is a lower price, this one is a better click-through rate. And actually it has more sales, it has twice the sales. So I kind of proved my point there. Products, which doesn't always lend itself to work that way. All right. Next question is Yash Kondakar. Hey, Kevin, hope you're doing well. I am. Thank you very much for that. I know this is not related to PPC, but I had to get it through. Sure, why not? Can you tell me what is the latest date I can get my shipment into Amazon fulfillment centers for Q4? So it's what they tell you and what happened. So technically it's Q4. So if you're looking to get in for the holidays, I believe it's October 19th and November 11th. So October 19th is the deadline to be like in the fulfillment center in time for the Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Now, for a lot of products, Black Friday to Cyber Monday is more just a warm-up period, and your busy time is actually mid-December. I tend to find, at least I find a lot of my sales come in mid-December when it's like the procrastinators are starting to shop. Those are the best people because they don't have time to think about it. They just start adding to cart, add to cart, add to cart. The window shoppers go away and the serious shoppers come to play. So you want to at least, I would say, I'm working on this a lot myself. Like I have, as we speak, I've got 2 of my staff working in my warehouse, prepping product to get out the door. And I have more products. I have enough product right now in Amazon's warehouse to match my sales from last year. I'm getting ahead on it because what you don't want to have happen is Amazon, if you're doing small parcels, they will accept it whenever. But one of 2 things could happen. So if you send it too late and they've got all their staff, like you send it, like let's say November 25th, and all their staff is, focused on orders now or focused more on, getting ready for, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, or whatever tasks they have them to do, and they don't have as many people checking in stuff. Your stuff could be either sitting on the back dock waiting to be received, or it could be received, which is good news, but it could be an FC transfer for weeks. And if you're not familiar with FC transfers, you'll see like it's reserved, and then FC transfer means it's reserved. So it's there and they're selling it and they're quoting to people like it'll be available in 3 weeks from now or something like that. So like super long shipping times. And so that kills your conversions. And with the FC transfer is they're moving stuff around, but it's like there could just be a trailer. If you can imagine like, a big warehouse with lots of trailers, and some of those trailers haven't been offloaded. They might not even be on the dock. They might just be sitting in the parking lot. So your stuff is just sitting there and you're hoping and praying that someone does something with it, but you don't know. So it's either sitting on the dock waiting after the delivery, or it's sitting and waiting once it arrives in FC transfer. Now, if you're doing pallets, they just might not give you or give your trucking company an appointment time, or the appointment time might be like way into the future. So I wouldn't play around with it. I would get your stuff in as quickly as possible. With that said, if you are getting to a point where like, I have inventory, let's say in a 3PL, or you're like me and you have your own warehouse and you say, I want to send stuff in, but it's, December 1st. Should I send it in? Yeah, send it in. Better to have it there than not have it there, because you never know. Sometimes it's available right away. So my saying is get it in there, but at the same time too, don't wait. If you can beat their deadlines, the October 29th, and I think for the holiday season, it was November 11th. So if you have to go beyond that, go beyond that. Like if stuff's on a boat right now and it gets there and you can't get it in until November 13th, don't raise your hands and say, oh, I missed this Q4. Too bad. I would get it in, but I would get it in as quickly as you can. And if you have to have somebody prep it, I would at least get stuff in early. Like you don't have to send it all in at once. that might cost you, even if it saves you a few pennies on like, fewer pallets or whatever. I wouldn't worry about that. I would get stuff into the warehouse, but I wouldn't wait on it. And I've done stuff like that before in my business. All right. So I'm having fun. We're going to keep going. But we're probably going to close this out here in just a couple minutes. All right. So Muhammad Ayaz asks, what factors should I prioritize when deciding whether to bid aggressively on top of search placement versus using a lower bid strategy for product page and rest of search placements? Can you compete? And so one of the things to keep in mind is take a look at whatever the keyword is. Just search for it. It's one of the best things you could do. It's that old saying of, management by wandering around. So it's PPC management by wandering around on Amazon. Start searching for that keyword. At the top of search, is it stuff with, do you have similar number of reviews? Can you compete with them in that regard? Or is it, you've got 100 reviews and they have 12,000? Amazon might not show you on top of search. Doesn't matter what you pay, because at the end of the day, they don't really care that one product is bidding more. They care at the end of the day, I have X number of impressions for this particular keyword. What is going to get us the most revenue on the back end? Meaning of the people that pay for, clicks, the people, what's going to become a sale, and so on and so forth. So my 2 cents. Roysh1 asks, can I go on a sale a few days before Prime Day? Sure. Why not? You can run sales pretty much whenever you want. I think Prime Day is this time of year, as I was mentioning before in this stream, is slower than the July Prime Day. If you did well with the July Prime Day, I would say, take a look at what worked for you in July and replicate that. And if you didn't do, a sale beforehand, test it out. Just keep in mind, which I never am exactly sure how to articulate the new, I don't know if anyone can, to be honest. And that's the coupon policy. So if you're running coupons and you lower your price and then you raise the price back up on Prime Day, that could affect your eligibility for coupons. Keep that in mind if that's part of your strategy for Prime Day. But it's worth thinking about. Then Roysh asks, how do I know if it's not the right keyword? Is there barely any impression? Does that mean I'm not bidding high enough? I'm not within the bid suggestion. Could be you're not bidding high enough, or Amazon doesn't think that your product can compete or is relevant. So if you've not already done this before, one little trick is if you have A+ content, do you have alt text? You get 100 characters per image. So make sure to add that to their alt text. If this is a potentially important keyword, I would add it to your backend keywords as well. Add it somewhere in your bullet points as well. Add it in your product description, even if the product description isn't showing. You want it in there as much as possible. And I would probably add that keyword in an image somewhere too, because it's believed that whether it's Rufus or whatever the other one is, the other algorithm is reading images. So I would take a look at that and see if you can do that. So at least Amazon has at least the belief that there may be some relevancy. And the way they know is just by what your listing says. As Stephen would say, the text is for the robots and the pictures are for people. So make sure you're giving the robots with it. Don't go keyword stuffing crazy, but at least, does that keyword that you're going for that's getting low impressions, can it be fit in better as an exact phrase somewhere in your listing, as well as be included in some alt text fields for A+ content? If you don't have A+ content, there's a good excuse to do it. Mike and Calais says, yes, this is a supplement. Oh, about the $10 bids. So yeah. So it's going to be a little bit of a gut check, but I would say start low, whatever your comfort level is, and then raise up. You can always increase your bids, but if you start at $10 and they start charging you $10 and it ends up being a disaster as far as making the numbers work, they're not going to give you your money back. So start low, increase as you see fit is my suggestion. Royce one says, or do I need to increase my bid? Oh, going back to the other question. Yes, it's worth increasing your bid, but I would do it in steps. Like I just said, in the other person, they'll always let you increase your bids, but if you increase it too high, they're not going to give you your money back if it doesn't work out for you. So, my 2 cents, and without trying to break the bank. Macon Calais says, we're not good keyword for listing SEO, but we're not ranking, but we rank first in all ads. What should I do to rank my product more organically? Get more sales. That's the best thing I can say is get more sales and get more reviews. Now, I come from a school of thought that I don't believe reviews are a direct ranking mechanism. Because one of the things is you can take a look and a lot of pages, the top reviewed products aren't even necessarily at the top. Like for example, we'll look at garlic press. So this one here, 23,000. This is the first organic spot. This one here, where was it? Oh, almost 36,000. But here, 619, 414. So these are organically ranked. Now, maybe it's pricing or whatever. Maybe they're doing some black hat giveaways in the background. I don't know. But what I can say is, sometimes you can be ranked high for a competitive keyword like garlic press. You can be ranked high because you might have a good click-through rate and good amount of people buying. Now, I think this is where reviews come into play. Put yourself in the customer's shoes. Are you going to buy this one or this one? Or this at least has 600. So that's respectable compared with, there was one I was looking at down below. Okay, this one has 3. And it's not even necessarily as relevant. So if you are the customer, which would you more likely to click on? One that has 3 reviews or one that has more reviews? So this one has 7. Or this one has 50, which again isn't bad. So, literally this is, maybe that's got stainless steel on the side, but these are 2 basically the same product. Oh, maybe it's even the same company, just different listing. Let's put the hand in the left corner and let's put it in the right corner here. So either way, point being, I think reviews are more going to help you with your click-through rate. So getting back to your question, Amazon's just looking for, there's X number of people who are searching for whatever that particular keyword is. Who's going to be more likely to get us sales? So whoever's going to be more likely to get them sales is going to be ranked higher organically. Whoever's more likely to get them sales and have a good bid is going to be more likely to ranked with paid. So just keep that in mind, that sometimes you also have to look at it as a long game, especially if you have a competitive product and a competitive keywords. But one way to kind of get on the map is, going after longer tail keywords. So if we put in garlic press, garlic press for arthritic hands, I'm going to say that's pretty long tail. And honestly, most of these look like the same products, but they're not all the same products. The ranking's a little different. Our friend 350 milliliters is still showing up. A lot of these look very similar, but I know that some of these I don't recognize from the other page, so not everything is on there. So that means some of your top players from garlic press aren't competing for garlic press for arthritic hands. So just keep in mind, maybe you have better opportunities available for you with longer tail keywords. So something just to think about. All right. For a fresher beginning with PPC, campaign strategies is best. Sign up for PPC course at Mag School. No, but I would say learn sponsored products more than anything. That's where most of your sales are going to come from, especially when you're first starting out. Today, I got a lot of CTR, but no sales. It's a lot of clicks, but no sales. Where do I check to see if they put in the shopping, hoping it goes on sale on Prime Day? All right. I will just say this. Yes, we are getting into window shopping territory. However, I have noticed this the last few weeks. I think that the reporting is delayed. You might suddenly find you have all these sales that are attributed to 7:00 tonight, but maybe they actually have already bought. I don't know. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. Again, don't freak out for in the day. Never freak out for in the day. Freak out for like if you're looking past in the last month and it's a disaster for certain keywords or campaigns, maybe don't freak out, but respond accordingly. All right. So then Roy says, how do you determine if it's listing versus ranking or PPC versus impressions? Is there a way to calculate to determine? You can go to your search query performance report and see relative to the competition. Are you doing, if you're saying you have good click-through rate, but you don't have good sales. Is that the same story with the competition, or does the competition have maybe similar on par click-through rate to what you do, but they have higher conversion rate? Then that means you have a conversion problem. If it's your click-through rate is actually not as good as the competition, then you maybe have a main image problem. So that's what I would look at. Is it possible to grow total sales and decrease ACoS and tacos simultaneously? Yes. Sometimes you go after different campaigns. Not everything is PPC. Are you optimizing your listing? Do you have good main image to get more products or more clicks, things of that nature? Andy, thank you again. Another $1.99 or £1.99. So that's almost 6 pence that we've gotten today. So if you have a question, I'm not getting it. So it's not showing me the question, I should say. So for that, I apologize. Actually, nope. I looked in another section and I didn't see it there. We're running out of time. Yash says, thank you, Kevin. You're a legend. I don't know if I go that far, but thank you for the kind words. Roy says, what are the benefits of AWS? Should I join? Are you talking about Amazon Web Services? Or do you mean AMS, Amazon Marketing Services? Or is this another acronym? When I worked for a magical place in Orlando, we would have all these acronyms, and sometimes they would be competing. Like the term ER, I think literally could be used in at least 3 ways: early release of shift, emergency requisition to get more product, like to your restaurant or something like that, or employee relations. And I think Amazon is similar to that, where different teams are creating their own vernacular. So, but if you're just talking about AWS, it's free, why not? And I think because you can do the thing if you have an AWS account where you could have it read your images. Why not? I haven't tested that out yet. I think you should. And let me know how it goes. Now, if you use a lot of data, you have a software tool, it can be expensive, but initially, you can get account for free and even, hold some stuff in the cloud that maybe you want to use. I have every keyword phrase imaginable everywhere. Well, that's good. So it sounds like you're doing that well. All right. So with that, folks, my voice is starting to run out. I said I would close this down at the top of the hour, but because I don't have a guest, I went a little longer. This was fun, but my voice is starting to go out on me. So with that, thank you everybody for joining us. If I promised you something, email me, Kevin@myamazonguy.com. I can always go back and watch the stream to make sure that The right people that I promise things are the ones that are emailing me. If I don't respond to you right away, email me back within like 24 hours, because sometimes it goes to junk. And I usually try to check it because I know that seems to be happening for whatever reason. But anyway, on that note, thank you for joining us. Thank you for making it all the way through. I hope this was of value to you. And for those of you who did not get your questions answered, I'm not joking at the beginning of these streams where I say, hey, we're going to run out of time and we won't get to all the questions. So that happened again this time. And I even went over. So with that, make sure you join us on time and get your question in early, because those that ask the question early are more likely to get their question answered. So thank you so much, everybody. Have an awesome day. Happy selling.